Good evening. Today we're going to come from page 155 and discuss Onesimus Saves the World. In 1706, Boston preacher Cotton Mather received a tremendous gift in the offering plate: a human being. When Mather opened his tithes envelope and saw the blessing, he said it was a mighty smile of heaven upon my family, and decided to name the newly arrived African Onesimus after a biblical slave. One would have to think that Onesimus found Mather to be a little dim-witted. After all, Mather wanted Onesimus to worship some white man named Jesus who apparently hated witches and gave away slaves on his birthday. Mather disliked Onesimus because Onesimus also refused to convert from Islam to Christianity, and because Onesimus's intelligence made him seem wicked and thievish. At any rate, Cotton Mather didn't trust Onesimus, especially when the slave told Mather something impossible to believe. He knew how to cure smallpox. At the time, the disease was ravaging the colonies. When Mather asked his smart-mouthed slave if he had ever contracted smallpox, Onesimus answered yes and no. Onesimus showed his owner a scar on his arm and explained that he had undergone surgery in Africa that made him immune to smallpox. Mather balked. There was no way he was going to take some medical advice from a black slave who didn't know that Jesus was white. Then, in 1716, Mather was reading Dr. Emmanuel Timonius's writing, Philosophical Transactions. Timonius was extolling the virtues of inoculation from Constantinople, which was under Muslim rule. That's where Onesimus was from. Could Onesimus have been telling the truth? Did Muslims know how to prevent smallpox? And how come Jesus didn't know about this? Aside from another witch trial, there was only one way to find out if inoculation really worked. After questioning Onesimus further, Mather followed the African heathen's instructions to cut himself and rub the pus from a smallpox sore into the cut in order to make himself immune. After trying the cure on himself, Mather finally believed Onesimus and started telling doctors everywhere, even sending letters abroad. But American medical professionals thought Mather was out of his mind for taking advice from Africa. Boston's elite argued that it was immoral to interfere with divine providence. But one physician, Dr. Zabdiel Bolstorn, took Onesimus's advice, pricking smallpox sores, which weren't too hard to find at the time, and injecting the pus from under the skin of willing participants. In total, Bolstorn got around 280 people to participate in the quickest vaccine trial since Operation Warp Speed. For their efforts, Mather and Bolstorn were pillared by local press, including the New England Courant's publisher, James Franklin. In 1721, smallpox killed about 14% of Boston's population, but only 6 of the people inoculated by Onesimus's recipe died. Massachusetts would quickly become the first state to promote public vaccination, helped by James Franklin's younger brother, who eventually became a bigwig. Aside from spreading Onesimus's vaccination idea, I'm sure James's little brother, Benjamin Franklin, did some other stuff. Having saved Mather's family and ultimately whole colonies, Onesimus tried to purchase his freedom from Mather shortly after the smallpox epidemic passed, even offering to buy another enslaved person to replace him. Mather refused, explaining that he couldn't send Onesimus out into the world as an unsaved soul. No self-respecting, slave-owning, witch-burning Christian would do something so egregious. Now, would they? especially when they can continue to pump you for ideas, to make sure that history looks back upon them kindly and as a savior. Because ultimately, isn't that the American way? Till next time.